how are you going to exit from here? Do you need me?
Yeah. No, it's fine. It's fine. You can be there.
Oh, wow. There's one more minute, huh? On this one here. 6. You're going to be fine. Something is rotating. I can see you already.
Yeah, we're live. A little back.
Hey guys, just for those of you who are waiting, let's just give everyone else, a couple more minutes, just in case anyone is late or gathering the materials and so on. So yeah, let's be friendly and wait like a couple more minutes. Cool. You can do anything during that time. You don't have to watch me. We'll just wait a few more minutes. Actually, I'll just, I'll drink some water. We'll be right back. By the way, this is just like a technical check. If I'm too loud or my voice is too low, let me know in the chat. Also, if you're facing any difficulties with the technical setup, let me know as well. I mean, I can do my best to help you, and we can sort of figure that out. But if you're not, then good for you. And we're almost gonna start. So yeah, we'll just give it one more minute, and then we'll go. By the way, I have my assistants, my lab assistants as well, so they're going to be telling me what you guys are saying.
So if you have questions.
Also, yeah, this is a really good time. If you have any questions about what we're doing today, literally anything that comes up to your head right now, it doesn't really have to be about Forscherwelt per se, any concepts, let me know, and then we can address those before we jump in. So let me know. So I think this should be ample time for everyone to already join, and it's fine. I will be talking and I'll be repeating a lot of the steps that we do and so on. So welcome everyone. I hope you're well, healthy, and safe. My name is Amr Al-Bakri, and I'll be your teacher / host for this live event today. We are here celebrating 10 years of the Forscherwelt initiative, and we want to take children from all over the world on a journey around Henkel Researchers' world. And thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of this really fun, engaging experiment. And in a nutshell, we're here live from the Forscherwelt Gallery in Dubai, located at Children's City in the United Arab Emirates, if you didn't know that already. And if you're listening and you're wondering what is Forscherwelt, don't worry, I got you. So Forscherwelt, or Researchers World, is a Henkel initiative. It's an international initiative set up by Henkel about 10 years ago. And the main aim or the goal is we offer classes based on Henkel Researchers topic. So these are gluing, washing, personal care, laundry and sustainability, and the such. The sustainability aspect is more about raw materials, renewables, recycling papers, and information about general health. So without further ado, again, as I mentioned, the goal is to take the children on a journey, and we discovered daily experiments, things that you can really easily find at home. And it's even though it's the recommended age is 7 to 11, it's actually very informative and eye-opening for older people as well. So a little bit about the gallery itself. In November 2019, Henkel, in partnership with Dubai and Children's City, officially opened our first permanent Forscherwelt lab here in Dubai. The lab was first of its kind in the Middle East, and is actually the largest Forscherwelt lab in the world. And we have children come here and explore the natural sciences and everything of that such, conduct experiments in a very professional way, very engaging. And we previously had one set up in 2017. If you already visited that, but that was more of a Forscherwelt to go. It was very temporary at that time. As I mentioned, the lab here welcomes children from the ages of 7 to 11. They're absolutely free to attend. You can, if you actually are interested in learning more about Forscherwelt or wanted to come here by yourself and trying these experiments, make sure to check out the Children's City website or call them for more timings and so on. And you can also visit the Forscherwelt website itself for more information about the experiments and how it started and how it came about and so on. Great. I know I just talked for a little too much. I just have a little bit of information about the experiment itself before we jump in. So as you can see, the setup here, I am using some stuff that is more of a professional materials, but I will go through the list. Stuff that you can use at home is very simple. You can find them lying around your house. And again, the recommended age for this experiment, and because of the concept grasping, is about 7 to 11. If you're a little older, that's fine. If you're younger than that, it will be difficult, but you'll know exactly what we're talking about. So, just housekeeping, tell your parents you are participating in this event. Please don't eat or drink while experimenting. And I know that's easier said than done given the delicious drinks that we have here, but please don't do that. Wash your hands before and after the experiment, and handle all materials with care. Even though none of these material are dangerous per se, but they potentially could be damaging. Maybe glass will break or something like that, so please be careful. And enough talking, let's get into the experiment. So how much sugar is in your drink? That is basically the concept that we're trying to convey today. You can easily guess that answer, by the way, because nowadays, I mean, back in the day it used to be very ambiguous, but nowadays you can just look at a soft drink or juice, and then you can see the label or the nutritional facts, and it's really easy to tell, right? But it's hard to visualize that, and this is what we're doing today. Something also that we're going to be exploring is the concept called density, and it's basically just a measurement. It's a measurement of weight. Okay? Now, soft drinks are fruity, they're tasty, they're very sweet, they're amazing. Not only for kids, but for adults as well. So, I guess my voice is a little too low. Okay. Now, as I mentioned, soft drinks are very fruity, very sweety and tasty, and kids love them, adults love them, but you always hear that they're really bad for you. And it's actually a proven fact that a lot of sugar in your bloodstream can cause a lot of health problems to your internal organs, to your body generally, and if you do drink a lot of sugary drinks, it's fine. Just make sure to drink a lot of water, wash your teeth regularly, and try not to overindulge and make it a habit. but it's okay. It's never too late. And again, you can just by the look of it here, we've got apple juice, orange juice, and iced tea. You can guess how much sugar is in each item. You can guess in the chat. You can, maybe just give me an educated guess without even looking at the at the nutritional facts. Anyways, so here's what you're going to need for this experiment. You're going to need a thick straw, okay? And you're going to need a ruler. I am using beakers here, 200 ml beakers, but you can use several tall glasses at home. The important part is they have to be identical and they have to be clear for you to be able to sort of see what's going on. Okay? And we're going to need modeling clay, which is another fancy word for Play-Doh. If you don't have Play-Doh at that time or right now, I mean, we can figure something out later, but then you can just sort of watch what I'm doing. And we're going to need some soft drinks to experiment with. So as I mentioned, we've got apple juice, we've got orange, and lemonade, so iced tea. The important part here is that if you're going to experiment with something like Coca-Cola or Pepsi, we try to refrain from using carbonated drinks because the gas in them will make something called a diver. We're going to be using that. It will make the diver actually float more than it should because of the gas. So, let's see. I'll give you just a little bit of time to sort of gather the material in case you didn't have them already. I'll go over them again, but I'm pretty sure they're in the description, so just if they're not there, I'll go over them again. A thick straw, a tablespoon, modeling clay, we mentioned that, some water, household sugar, which is the most important aspect, which is what we're actually experimenting today, a pen, a sharper, a permanent marker basically, and a scale is not really necessary, but it will come in handy. Okay? Great, I'll just give you one more minute. Okay, so the first step is basically we have to prepare sugar solution. We have here, I have 5 beakers. As I mentioned, you can use tall water glasses or tall glasses generally. What we're going to do is we're going to prepare the sugar solutions, and each beaker or each glass will have a different concentration. So I'm using sugar cubes, and that is basically, if you don't have sugar cubes, that's fine. Essentially, 1 sugar cube is about the same as a teaspoon or a sugar packet, or 4 grams if you're actually using a scale. So what we're going to do is, before we add the sugar into the solutions or into the beakers, we're going to add 200 milliliters of water. So that's 200 ml for each beaker. And you can see that I don't have sugar cubes for the first one, and that is something called the control, which is basically the first thing that we're going to use or experiment on to sort of form like a fixed variable or something that we can compare all the other sugar solutions to. Okay? So when you're pouring, I know that you're not going to be pouring 200 ml exactly unless you have a beaker like I do here or a cylinder, but it's fine. You can just, use your best judgment. But the most important part is that they have to be identical. Okay? So, and if you're pouring, you actually want to get to eye level as much as you can. Okay. So here, 200 ml. Just to be accurate. If you go over or under, that's not really that big of a deal, don't stress. In the past, I wanted to get it to be perfect, but sometimes I'll pour too much or pour too little, so don't worry about it. Just make sure that they're almost the same. Okay. And So, in the first beaker, I have here labeled 5 per 200 ml, and what that means is we're going to add 5 sugar cubes. I know that if you may be not using the sugar cubes, so you may be using teaspoons. So you would want to put 1 teaspoon plus just a little bit, because 1 teaspoon is about 4 grams, give or take. So you want to add 1 teaspoon and a little bit. Okay, so that's 1. The second beaker, or the second tall glass, so we added 5 in the first one. So I'm going to add 8 sugar cubes into the 200 ml water. For you, that's 2 teaspoons. Okay. Third beaker or third water glass for you. I'm adding 15 sugar cubes. That's insane, right? But that is basically, you'll actually find out why we're adding all the sugar into the drinks. So. By the way, take your time. If you don't have this stuff already, you can go ahead and do it. I'll take my time as well. I'll be super slow. So we both do it at the same time and we both get the same results, which is extremely difficult, by the way, because we're experimenting with different items, such as the soft drinks, but it's fine. Okay, so let's do the 15 here. Okay, 5. Another 5. And another 5. Okay. We're actually going to switch that part here. We'll make it the last one. And in the last beaker, or the ones that we didn't put sugar in already, we're going to add 10 cubes. Okay. 10 cubes. So I mean, as I mentioned, 8 sugar cubes is about 8 grams. Just if you, let's say, the more. I know this is something I'm going to explain later, but for now, we'll just prepare the solutions. And I know that it seems like a lot of sugar, but it's okay. Trust me, at the end, it's going to work out. So that's 10 cubes here. 2, 4, 5, and another 5. Okay. Now, we didn't really stir them already, but that's what we're going to do. This is our next step. You can use a tablespoon. If you have a rod, you can use a rod. Here we go. This is our control. This is just the first beaker here with 5 sugar cubes. Now, the 5 cubes will actually dissolve relatively easier than the other ones, just because of the concentration and the water level. And that's all right. We'll take our time. Just give it a good stir. You can see it's already dissolving, just a little cloudy. That's okay. By the way, at any point, if you have any questions, please don't be afraid to ask. Anything about the material that I'm using, or anything about what I'm actually doing right now, or what are we experimenting with, feel free and let me know. We're actually going to revisit these after we stir them, but for the time being, it's okay. We'll just give it a good stir. Okay. The ones with the higher sugar concentration will take longer to dissolve, and that's all right. I'm not sure if you can see now. I'll zoom in a little bit to the camera, but the ones with the higher sugar concentration are darker. They're just more There's a lot of stuff going on in the liquid, even though we don't see it, the naked eye. But the only visible thing is that they're just cloudier, they're darker than the other solutions with the lower sugar concentration. Okay, just give it a good mix, good stir. A little bit more time here. Okay. Depending on the amount of sugar you actually add, so these are the ones, so this is 15 sugar cubes, right? Like it's still very difficult to dissolve. And that's okay, we're gonna revisit them. I got the focus is gonna work itself out, I hope. Okay. We're gonna revisit those, right? So it's okay. Just, if you have another, if your sibling is helping you or your parent is there, maybe she can actually stir for a little bit while we prepare something called a diver, okay? Now, what is a diver? This is a device that sort of imitates something called a hydrometer. And a hydrometer is a device that measures density. Density is a complicated concept, but for this experiment's sake, the higher the sugar content in the liquid, the deeper. So let's say you're actually going to see for yourself, but the water content, let's say. So, you know what, before we actually do that, let's prepare the diver and then we'll jump right in. Okay. I'll leave the clay in just 1 second. So I actually have straws and I have modeling clay. So that's Play-Doh. You can easily find this in a grocery store or Carrefour or something of that sort. And what we actually need is, it doesn't have to be exact science. I mean, if you want to be perfect with it, yeah, you would want to add about 10 grams of the clay. But if you have a scale, that's excellent. If you don't have a scale, that's fine as well. You can just, ballpark it. So I'm using a white straw, a white thick potty straw per se. What you want to do is you want to have a circular, okay? So it looks like a little ball here, okay? And what you're going to do is you're going to get your straw. You don't want to stick it into the clay, but what you want to do is just a little bit, and can you see it? It's good. All right. As I mentioned, you don't want it, too into the straw, but you just want to have it as symmetrical as possible. Okay. All right. So it should look something like this. And by the way, don't worry, we're going to experiment with it. And if the diver itself, the main idea is when you put the liquid, when you put the diver into the liquid, into the glass, it should float freely without actually touching the sides of it. But often times it doesn't work. So what you do is you easily can just remove it, adjust it, add more, remove a little, and that's all right. The reason why I have beakers here, and I also have this cylinder. In an ideal scenario, what you should be experimenting with is this measuring cylinder here. I know probably none of you have it, and that's okay because we're actually going to test it on both. I'll show you how it looks on the measuring cylinder, and hopefully you can come here one time and you can practice it for yourself. And for you at home, I'm actually going to do the same thing with the cylinder, but with the glasses. Okay, so let's see. We're going to add water, as I mentioned. So these are two controls. So I'm going to add just 200 ml of water. What you want to do now, after you prepared your diver is just gonna go ahead, let it sink. So now you can actually see, I don't know if you can see, but it's not really sticking to, like it's not really floating freely, and that's all right. So what I'm actually gonna do now is I'm gonna add a little bit more clay to see if it floats freely. Again, don't worry. This part just requires you watching and observing. I'm going to do the same thing with you guys on the glasses that we prepared, and the sugar solutions that we prepared. You want to try and have it as uniform as possible. You can see this one is actually a little better, but it's still not really sticking, you know, it's not, now it's rolling freely. Can you zoom in? See, it's not really touching any of the sides of the measuring cylinder. Okay, good. The main idea is, so now that you have your diver floating freely, and I know this is the measuring cylinder that we said that, you know, you don't have it at home, but the main idea is that once it floats freely, what you would want to do is, you'd want to get your ruler and you'd want to mark exactly where the rim of the cylinder is, okay? Just like that. I'm not going to mark it now because I'm going to do it with you guys on the beakers. What you want to do is you just get your ruler on the glass with the floater and then you just mark exactly where it touches, okay? So, first solution we have is just water. Also, this is really important to note, by the way, if the straw should be taller than the glass. I know it goes without saying, but this is really difficult to miss. It's got to be taller than the glass itself because you would want to record multiple levels. Because depending on the sugar solution itself, the diver will go down or up. So, just before we begin, I'm going to give it one more good stir. You can see, obviously, the first beaker, it's dissolved pretty well. The second one is getting there. The number 3 and 4, which has 10 sugar cubes and 15 sugar cubes, are more difficult to dissolve, but you can see the difference in color, actually. Go ahead, one more, good stir. Alright, so hopefully by that time, again as I mentioned, if you have someone else helping you, it would be great for them to stir the solution so it dissolves pretty nicely by the time we get to it, okay? Now, this is our control, and as I mentioned what control is, this is just something that we need to sort of validate and verify our other experimenting factors, okay? Okay, so obviously this, for you at home, the tall glasses, it could float freely, but since I'm using beakers here, it's really impossible to not touch, right? So what you do is, you just get to the rim, you go to the side, okay? Okay, and you let it, right? And I know it's not really floating freely, but what you do is, you just need to get, so have your marker ready, okay? So, you don't want to mess with it too much. You just want to let it, just a little bit, right? And you have your rim here. So just floating, just a little bit. All right? Let's see. You go down to eye level. You don't want to let it, yeah, there we go, right? Okay. The first mark was actually not that accurate one, but that's okay. You want to have it just a little bit. So mark, you know, take in consideration that it should flow like this and then mark. All right. So this is our control. I'm gonna mark it C. Okay. The first thing we did. Just 1 second. Oh, you want to see it? Sure. So I got my lab assistant here. So he said he actually recommended that we take a little bit take a little bit of the clay out, see if it floats that way. Okay. But the most important part is that once you start, when you prepare the diver the first time, just keep it consistent across the experiment so you don't get different variables, right? So it's doing pretty much like the same thing. Okay. Since we messed with the diver a little bit, we want to get the new recording, right? It's about the same. It's actually about the same because the density didn't change. The density of the solution itself didn't change. Okay. Good. Second step is you'd want to create a scale. So you have your diver here, right? And you want to do 15 lines, or just 10 lines, evenly spaced out, 1 ml. Okay, right? I'll zoom in, you want to get some sort of a scale going on, evenly spaced, not too tight, not too far from each other. The reason why we're doing this is just because we're gonna put the diver in each solution and find out exactly what the difference is. Okay. All right. If I'm doing this on the measuring cylinder itself, it would look a lot more, visible. The results are very visual. But again, as I mentioned, because you guys are doing it with tall glasses at home, I'd want you to get a sort of a similar result. Okay. So this is our second solution. Now you want it, see, as I mentioned, you don't want it touching too much, you just want it to dive a little bit, right? And I got my marker here. Okay, so just a little bit, just a little bit. Right? Here's the room. So it's like floating about level 2. Okay. You can see here, level 2. Okay. You'd want to do the same thing with the third solution here. Right. What did I say at the beginning? I said the higher the density, the deeper the diver sinks, right? So, let's see. As I mentioned, we don't want it to be just a little bit. Let's see. All right, we have here, just it's almost. You don't want it too. You don't want it too off the floor of the beaker, but it's right here. It's almost right. Right? Okay. Okay, now, so this is the beaker with the 10 sugar cubes. You have your ruler. By the way, do you have any questions? If you have any questions, don't hesitate. Again, anything related to not only this experiment, but any of the stuff that we're trying right now, let me know. You see this one is almost, there we go. Not too far off the floor here, right? And obviously you can see like the changes, right? So what I'm actually gonna do is, I'm gonna show you on the measuring cylinder here, right? Just the changes in levels and the changes in the soft drinks that we're gonna try. So, let's do this. I'm gonna get another straw because we already have the scale on a different scale on this one, right? Let's see if this diver actually floats. Okay, I'm gonna add a little bit more clay, similar to what we did. Do we have any questions? Oh. Okay. I'll speak a little louder just in case, because we have, as I mentioned, with the Forscherwelt gallery, and there are so many other galleries in Children's City, so I'll be as loud as possible. Okay, let's try this diver. All right, so this one is actually floating quite well. Let's record it for water. Just, touch it. Okay. This is our control. Okay. I'm gonna actually drop the water here, and we're gonna add one of the sugary solutions or the soft drinks that we want to experiment with. So what do you want to add? You want to add, let's add orange juice. So even though it says no sugar added, there's actually quite a bit of sugar per serving in the whole bottle, right? Let's see. So 200 ml. Just a little bit. All right, we went a little bit over, so you know what? It's fine. It's almost. It's just the gas in it. So we have our diver, we have our control from the water. Let's let that sink in. So again, because we prepared a good diver, it's actually floating freely. It's not really touching any of the glass, right? And you have your ruler, and we'll get a different color. And we're gonna mark it. You can see it went down quite a bit because of the higher density of the sugary orange juice, right? So water had really little density, and the diver just, could float very freely. But now, you can see it went a little bit down more than water. I just want to mark it. You just want to mark it. Okay. I touched it a little bit. That's orange. Okay. We're gonna want to do the same thing. Let's test orange juice. Actually, sorry, let's test apple juice. As I mentioned at the beginning, we don't want to test anything like Coca-Cola or Pepsi or any of the carbonated drinks unless you degas them first. So, this is good old, apple juice from the grocery store. Just gonna put this here. Now this is 180 ml, so that means we're gonna need to open another one actually. Okay. Right, almost. Almost at 200. Now we want to be, as accurate as possible. this is quite a discrepancy. So we would actually want to open something, you know, another pack of juice and make it reach 200. Okay. Just let it sit for a little bit. We have our diver. All right. It's about the same as the orange juice, but in the grand scheme of things, I mean, the bottle itself has more sugar content as compared to obviously the small pack of the apple juice, but it's because of the servings. So you gotta be careful when you're reading that stuff. You gotta be aware of how much sugar is in each serving, right? Okay. So we mark it here. Just touch it. Okay. So as I mentioned, you can try this. This is really easy to do at home, and I know that diver doesn't really, you know, float well in the beaker if you have a wide glass. But if in your tall glass, it could float similar to the cylinder. You can try this stuff, and you can try it a couple of times. You can try the diver. You can try testing multiple soft drinks. You can actually come in here to Children's City and try it for yourself. It's really great. We have really, really fun experiments. We have other stuff related to skin, you know, recycled paper and so on, finding starch, etc. We actually have a workshop happening as we speak, so that the kids are preparing. And if you wanna stay in for that, that's okay. Just get in touch. If you wanna come and try for yourself, that's also great. And we're gonna call it a day. Also, please feel free to let me know if you have any questions. Just also send them in the chat and let me know. Bye.